Hi, hello, and welcome to Leaning Towards Six Sigma. Hi, in this blog, what I'm going to cover is important QC tools. I'm not going to cover all seven in this video blog. Some of the important ones were with a case study. I don't want theoretically handle this particular video blog. A little bit of explanation followed with a simple example where I have applied this in one of the projects. Let's look at it. So the first one, the cause and effect. Second, check sheet, control chart, histogram, Pareto chart, scatter diagram, and stratification. As I mentioned to you, these are the standard QC tools. But what I'm going to handle in this particular blog, some of them with a case example. To start with, cause and effect. One of the important tool, and which always I love to do this cause and effect, a brainstorming. Though as an explanation, it's very simple. There is an effect. Effect means the result. For example, time taken to open an account, or time taken to complete a report, or a machine which fills the powder. For example, there is a variation. The variation is the effect. For example, or if a cable manufacturing, the time taken to manufacture a cable of a particular length. These can be effect. So the question is why the effect is the way it is, and then we go back and find out what are the causes. And cause and effect, we can do a brainstorming, but cause and effect offers you to have a very structured brainstorming. And also, many different people perspective can be brought, not only from one particular person. You can go to the Gemba means the place where the process is being performed, and you can find out a lot of causes affecting the particular outcome. For example, here I mentioned fill rate variation in powder filling machine. There is a machine which fills the powder, and there is a variation. Variation means instead of 100 gram, it fills 120 grams, or 110 grams, or 105 grams. And the question is why there is a variation. So obviously, when people decide, okay, machine could be the reason, moisture could be the reason, speed of filling nozzle could be the reason, and so on and so forth. But by doing this, we may miss it. Somebody will say, hey, machine could be the reason, and machine is operating like this, etc. The nozzle could be the reason. But when you offer in a very structured way, it will give you a lot of other aspects. So if we have missed out, really somebody can contribute. So it doesn't allow you to make any mistake. It will give all perspective, all dimensions of a particular outcome, X and Y relationship. But this doesn't end here. Cause and effect will only give you a lot of causes, but further QC tool which I have handled will help you to focused problem areas and focused problem factors also we can find out. And statistically, cause and effect cannot verify, because this is not a statistical tool, but it will help to move to statistics and what data to collect, etc. Let's look at with an example. Here the example which I am taking from the banking industry, to open a savings account. The effect is the time taken to open an account. Obviously it takes more than what is required, and not as per the customer requirement. And if you look at some of the examples, people related, no traceability of forms. They just keep it somewhere and not sending all the forms. They miss the forms, etc. Error in filling the application when they guide the customer to fill certain forms, and there are errors, probably in the name, probably in any of the address, or anything for that matter. Anything gets filled, there are certain errors which they themselves have tracked it. So it goes to the next process. Somebody sends it back that there is an error here. Just send certain documents along with the forms, and whenever the checking process happens and they say, hey, this document is not acceptable as per the norms of the bank. So why it is not so clear? So there is a delay, and multiple signatories, and a form has to be signed by at least minimum 2 people. So why is it required 2 people have to sign? So that delays because the other person may or may not be available, or he takes more time, etc. Applications are batched and sent it to the central processing unit, and there is no tracking. So once it goes out, it goes out. Nobody knows when it will come back or what is the status, etc. So these are all some of the reasons. So this is a good tool. If you look at it will give you a lot of dimensions people can raise, and then say, hey, what about the policy, what about the people, what about the process, what about the input system, or anything for that matter. You can bring in furthermore branches into it, and then ask why this particular aspect can affect the time taken to open an account. So that's a good tool for brainstorming in a structured way. Excellent tool for finding out a lot of causes. The next one is a control chart. Control chart is a excellent chart. It can be used at the beginning, in the sense, when you collect certain data, and then you can look at it whether the trends and patterns shows any particular insight, or how the process is controlled or not. Statistically it is under control or not. You can find it rather than a simple trend chart. A control chart will help you to understand the variation in the process and the extreme values, especially the case which I am going to show has extreme values. Extreme means there are exceptions, so we can easily identify, and then probably we can take action immediately. So it's an excellent chart to find out the data and the behavior. Example here, customer call resolution in minutes. For example, if there is a customer call and you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 6 minutes, and so on, depends on the case, but nevertheless each call, how much time it takes, can be plotted, and beautifully you can analyze why each call takes. Suppose if these calls are of similar in nature, suppose dissimilar calls, there are different calls, so obviously you can find out there are certain set of patterns that control chart will show. Immediately you can identify this comes from a different type of customer requirements or customer resolution. So easy to look at it. Let's look at this chart. So this is actually a real case, and if you can look at the first chart, shows tag for complaint resolution, turnaround time for complaint resolution. There is a complaint raised by the customer, and there are a lot of complaints. You can see hundreds of complaints, and these are the extremes, and most of the data hugging each other between 0 days or the same day to less than 10 days, and some of them are extremes, and you can show the average here, 3.2 days. These are number of days to close the complaint, and this process can go up to 12 days, and so on. So you get a lot of insight, isn't it? And when I remove the extremes, because there are few extremes, so obviously I don't want extremes to influence the average and the whole upper control limit, etc. So what I did, I removed, and then even after removal you can see some more extremes, but I left it at that. Now it doesn't make much difference in terms of average 3 days, before also 3.2 days, and the upper limit in terms of this process can go up to the variation of upper control limit of 11 days and 12 days. Not much difference, but nevertheless there are certain processes when you exclude the variation, definitely you will find it a different meaning. So this is an excellent chart. That's all from me in this blog. In my next blog, I'm going to cover histogram and Pareto chart with examples. Please subscribe to my Leaning Towards Six Sigma. That's my YouTube channel. And when you subscribe, obviously you will get the notification whenever I release new videos. Please encourage to put more videos by subscribing. Thank you so much. See you in my next blog.